at this point, what could go wrong absolutely did. Did we just screw this whole thing up? Did we just make the worst decision ever? Our kids are a mess. They're crying. We have no house. We have no house. And they're breaking down. And I'm breaking down mentally and physically. And we're just trying to decide if this was a huge mistake. A huge mistake. Okay, we're up. It's moving day. Working on the last of the boxes and getting mattresses wrapped, sprayed with Lysol and then wrapped, and getting the last of the boxes labeled and put over here in the living room. Got it all. There's still a lot that's going to be left, but I'm kind of at the place where I kind of need all this stuff to go so I can see what needs to go in the motorhome and what doesn't. Because it all kind of just looks like a jumbled mess right now. And I'm kind of stymied. I'm kind of at a place where I don't really know what's left to do. We went and got the motorhome, and we are ready to load it as soon as these guys are done moving today. Little did we know, in about an hour from that video, everything, all the well-laid plans would come tumbling down. As we're at the storage unit, watching the guys unload, I get a text from one of my really good friends who says, "Hey, did you know that there's a cop walking around your RV?" Now, the nuts and bolts of it is that we lived in an HOA community. You had to get approval from the HOA to have the motorhome on the street, and I did that.
And the best part is that we told all of our neighbors. We literally lived in a little tiny neighborhood, and we told all of our neighbors, "Hey, look, we're going to park the motorhome here. You know, we don't want anybody to complain about it." And everybody was like, "Don't worry, nobody's going to care. You can park in front of the house for a week. Everybody knows you're moving." Ultimately, it totally sucked. So somebody reported us about the motorhome being parked in their neighborhood. City ordinances, you can only have it parked there for 48 hours. At that point, it had been parked there overnight. I don't know how long, but it wasn't 48 hours. So we had to deal with the meter maid, which was annoying. You finally decided, forget it. Let's not deal with the meter maid.
Yeah, because he kept saying to me, if I come back here in, next day, and it's just across the street, and you just moved it across the street, I'm towing the motorhome. It will not be here when you come out in the morning. And I said, well, wait, hold on. You can't take the motorhome. Like, that's my initial thought was like, oh my gosh, this guy is going to tow the one house we have left.
Right.
And so I kept saying to him, like, look, homie, we're going to be out of here like tomorrow. Like, just chill. And he was like, no, if I come back here at 2:00 and it's not moved, if I come back here, and by that time it was like 12:30.
Yeah, and he was giving us all kinds of crap. He was like, yeah, you can park it in your driveway. Yeah, I'm going to put a 30-foot motorhome in my 10-foot driveway, you person.
Yes.
I was so frustrated. Whatever. Ultimately, we just decided we're not going to be able to pack the motorhome in front of our house like we had planned. So we came up with a plan of, okay, let's move it. So we decided to move the motorhome up to Ashley's parents' house.
Which is not where we intended to go.
Not at all. So we pack it up and we drive it 45 minutes to Ashley's parents' house. Okay, park it. We decide the best decision is to dump the kids off at the same time.
Because at this point, we've left the storage unit where we were monitoring the drop-off of all the stuff, and I get this text, and I'm panicked, and the kids are with us.
Right.
And
they're starting to pick up on this. Ashley's nervous energy is already like, boosh, above, she's already like onto nervous breakdown at this point. She's been stressing about this for a month. And here we are. The kids are picking up on all this nervous energy. The kids just helped us load stuff into the storage unit. And now Ashley's freaking out because they're going to tow our house. And so we decided we got to get the kids out of this situation where they are feeling our stress level.
Well, and it doesn't help that I didn't know it was a meter maid. I guess I just went to the worst place and there was a cop.
It's not the first time the cops have been at our house.
That's true. It's like I was like, oh my gosh, there's a cop standing at my RV, towing my RV, and
like hooking it up to the back of the police car.
Yeah, I'm sure they have bungees.
Yeah, could work.
So they're amped because I'm amped, and they're amped because something's not going the way that we had planned.
Right.
And so when we decided, after this whole thing was done, and he's like, you have until blah, 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 and got all upset, Matt and I sat down in the house and we just looked at each other and said, we've gone off the rails. The kids are off the rails. We've gone off the rails. I'm upset. They're upset. Let's get some Chick-fil-A. How's everybody doing?
Good.
Great.
Good.
I think we should be excited and wrong. Ready to
Go.
not be happy.
Sleep for eternity.
You want to sleep for eternity? Well, there's nothing like Chick-fil-A on the floor, watching a little TV. Happy moving day, English family. It's not such a happy moving day.
Let's just backtrack for a minute. So, Ashley's up early in the morning, finalizing the boxes that we were packing for the movers to come.
We got everything in black bins that we could. We've labeled everything as best as we can, and then everything, this one, we ran out of zip ties, but this one is kids' toys, and then all of the personal boxes are labeled or sealed together with a orange zip tie. Blue is garage, pink is kitchen. So they have labels on everything. This is the schoolroom, and it's labeled with a yellow zip tie, so that we know. So they're sealed, and we know by looking at the color if the label happens to fall off where it belongs. So I think we have somewhere around 30, maybe even 35 of these boxes. So that's how we're storing it. We're hoping that will maximize the space because, as you can see here, this is our line. So this is the size of our storage unit. So we've been packing and putting things in this little space in our living room to see if it fits. So we're not quite sure if it's gonna fit or not. So hopefully, if we get there today and there's not enough room, that we can just get another small storage unit. It's really not worth at this point fretting over if it's going to fit or not.
She was militant about it. It was hilarious. If somebody would bring something downstairs and they would put it inside the storage unit marked line, she would lose it. That doesn't go in there. She was hilarious. She was like all over this fits in the storage unit. So we marked off the storage unit, and as the stuff started to mount inside this marked off area in our living room, we realized it's probably not going to cut it. So we decided, all right, if we get to the storage unit and it doesn't fit that, we'll just get another little storage unit.
Well, I already know it's not going to fit. And I know it's not going to fit with the right amount of space. I guess it would have fit. He and I have talked about that. It would have fit.
It definitely would have fit.
It would have fit to the door closing over the last box.
Right.
Open the door, there's a box. It would have fit. But that is not how we intended it. We intended to leave, 2 or 3 feet of space because we knew that we'd be in Southern California for a month or 2 more, and that all the crap we just took to our motorhome would need to be sorted through and there was just reasons why I needed at least 2 feet of space from the door to the next box.
Yeah.
So I go over there and just back up. These guys have a 32-foot truck. And so every about 15 minutes, as they're loading crap up, I go outside and inevitably one of the guys like, you okay? And I'm like, how big is your truck? And they're like, 32 feet. And I'm like, oh crap. And they're like, why, ma'am, why? And I'm like, I only, what did we get?
It was a 10 by 20.
A 10 by 20.
Which, FYI, they call it a 10 by 20, but it's more like 9 by 18.
whatever. But
I measured it.
The point is, I'm like, oh my gosh, looking into the truck. So, 15 minutes later, I go back out and it's halfway full. 15 more minutes and he's got it 3/4 full. 32-foot truck. I have a 20-foot storage unit, and I finally get to the point where I'm walking out there and they all know that I'm beyond my ability to like comprehend what's going on. So the movers were really cognizant of how I was panicking, that we have a 20-foot storage unit. They have a 32-foot truck and we are almost full in their truck. I look at him and I'm like, I'm going over there. I'm going to see if they have a bigger one. And so on the way over there, I'm like fighting the tears. This is even before the motorhome thing happened. I'm fighting the tears, and I get in there and I'm like, hold on. I'm like, hold on, it'll come, because my brain is just not bringing the information. And so I'm standing at the counter and I'm looking at her like with this like a stare, like, and she's like, what do you need? And I was like, we have a 32-foot truck and it's 20 feet and we can't. And she's like, oh honey, you need a margarita. And I was like, and I just broke out in sobs and I was like, I needed a margarita yesterday. And I was just crying and she's just like, don't worry about this. Like, this is not worth worrying about. And I'm like, I know. And I'm just sobbing. And I was like, but he already set stuff up in the other one. And she's like, we'll get it out. It's no big deal. And so I'm like, okay. And so I turn around thinking I've got like 10 minutes before Matt gets there with the movers. And I turn around to see out the big glass window that here comes the moving truck. And she's just trying to still find a 30 foot. And I'm like, like, she's like, I'm just going to give you this one. And I was like, I need the number. Hurry. I need the number. He's just coming in. And so she's like, okay. She's like, breathe. It's fine. I went and got in my car and I was like, I'm going to breathe.
Yeah.
I'm going to breathe.
She needed, yeah. We got the storage unit all filled up. Everything went great. The kids were having a grand old time helping the guys unload the truck and riding up and down a lift gate. I mean, everything went really, really well as far as the movers are concerned. But the rest of the day was pretty stressful. Then we ended up having the motorhome thing. Once we got rid of the kids, Ashley and I were able to just kind of calm down for a hot minute. We ended up going to Pan Express for dinner that night, and we get these 2 fortune cookies. And they say, visualize the win, and you're headed in the right direction. And, take a fortune cookie for what it's worth. I know we probably had that one 20 times. But we were like, all right, let's kind of regroup. Let's get our wits about us, and let's work toward the heading in the right direction. We decided we'd sleep on the floor.
Well, they'd taken our beds.
Yeah, we'd packed everything was packed. Right? And we had kept some of our bedding because we were just going to throw out the motorhome. And we decided we're going to sleep on the floor. Whatever.
Yeah.
We're big kids. We can do it for one night. No.
I laid down because he was having a hard time sleeping with me making noise downstairs. So I was like, come on, we'll go back and lay down. And so I lay down, and in my state of health, I have a few spots that hurt more than other spots. And so if you lay on the floor, most of those spots hit the floor. And so I laid down, trying to be quiet so that he could go to sleep, so that I could get back up and do what, almost like a little kid.
Right. Go to sleep, little boy.
Sleep so I can go back downstairs.
Right. Get the baby to bed, then you can go do your stuff,
yes,
right?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was doing.
Yeah.
So I was laying there, and it was torture. I would just lay there, and the tears they were just rolling down my face. And I was already hopped up on as much anti-inflammatories as I could possibly take at that moment. And it was just, I was in horrible pain.
As far as health is concerned, I feel like I've been hit by a Mack truck. I know and I knew that we would run into a lot of lupus through this, but I've been pretty okay, which I'm grateful for. But I can feel it. You can see, like, this is my hand shaking. So the inflammation is there, and we just got to get past it. So probably end up on a round of steroids after this, but for right now, we're doing okay.
And so the tears were just running down, and out of nowhere, like, I'm laying there, and he just flings all the blankets, and he just gets up, and I was like, what is going on, man? I just came back here to lay with you, and now you're getting up again. And he's just furiously, like, putting on his clothes and getting his shoes on, and he just leaves the house. Not, like, walks out of the door, but, like, leaves. I hear the door close. I hear the car start, and he leaves, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, he cracked, and he left me here with this mess. Like, he lost it, and now I have no home. He's just lost his mind, and he left. Because he said nothing. He just left. And I was like, and he was only gone about 15 minutes. But for the whole 15 minutes, I was like, what? What just happened? And what is, like, because I am so calm, I was like, what is my life now? He's left. I just can't, oh my gosh, I don't even know. So, like, I'm just, like, at some point, like, where'd he go? Where'd he go? And I hear the garage door open again, and I'm like, well, he came back. And then I hear, like, a rustling, and all of a sudden, I see one completely wrapped in plastic twin mattress comes flinging through the master bedroom doors. And it just, and then he's gone again. And then there comes another one, and it's on the floor, and he's saying nothing this entire time. I don't care. I'm just grateful he didn't leave me in this state of unrest. So I'm like, what? And then I realized that he was so tired of listening to me cry and whatever, that he drove over to the storage unit, crawled over everything, pulled the two twin mattresses out that were my children's, but at that point we didn't care what boy had slept on that mattress.
Right, yeah. They were wrapped in plastic. They were isolated from any child disgustingness.
Hermetically sealed?
Yeah, they were, yeah. Put fresh bags on them.
No.
You had Lysol bombed them, and then they wrapped them in plastic.
Yeah.
They were.
That is the only way I'd sleep on one of my children's mattresses, by the way.
Sure,
because
yeah.
if you've ever gotten anywhere near a 13-year-old boy, eesh.
Yeah. So we get up the next morning, and we're packing. We're starting to load stuff in the car. It was an absolute disaster. And Ashley had said early on that she was going to have a flare at the end of this, that she was just going to be a total wreck, and that she would probably need to be, medicated for a month or whatever. Well, it happened. We got everything packed up, packed in the cars, and I'm talking packed in the cars like you see college students driving down the freeway. Like, things are packed up next to their heads driving along. It was pretty bad.
We offloaded everything, but Brayden had to go to a church function. So we loaded back in the car and took him back down to get your car, because we had
That's
to
right,
bring...
because we had 3 cars.
We had 3 cars down at the house. So we load back in the car, go down and do that. We wait. We get back in the cars and we drive home. Now at that point, I can't put 2 thoughts together. Like, I'm pretty good at faking it when I'm around people.
Yeah.
Like, I can
put on a happy face.
I can put on a happy face and just muscle through when I'm around people. But the problem is, when I fake it, or try to create energy that's not there, it drains myself, drains my body triple time. And so we head home. At that point, I can't see out of one eye, which is typical. What happens is I end up on my right side, just I can't hear and I can't see out of this right. And all of that had happened. I essentially become not paralyzed, but numb. You know, this hinge shakes.
Get a stroke or whatever.
Yeah, all on my right side. And so we're trying to get home. I have to drive a car. I got one good eye, can't hear out of one ear, and can't keep my hand from shaking. So we get home, and I can't get out of the car. I just can't get out of the car. You came over, grabbed my purse, grabbed what you could, and just...
Well, I think we got you in bed. We got you drugged up, and I think you slept in your clothes.
It was pretty... Yeah, I did. I did.
So anyways, so we're moved. And we survived it.
I'm your guest host.
You're my guest host. There's a lot of guest hosts.
Well, I guess we're done.
This is the marker clip when the children come in. It's like,
yeah, that's
you're done.
You know, you've talked too long.
What would you like to say, guest host?
Yeah, you wanted to be guest host.
He did his hair to be guest host.
I would like to say that the past few months have been hard, but I bet you when we get on the road, it's gonna be the best. I like going on a trip, and trips are awesome.
Trips are awesome.
You gotta bring your head over here so you have the frame. All right. Thanks for watching, guys. We will keep you updated, and we'll see you next time. Well, if there's one thing that I have learned, is that you and I can talk all day.
Not me. I'm not very talkative. Last time you trimmed your eyebrows?